Good evening from West High School. Welcome to the Time Warner Cable High School Football Game of the Week. Tonight, the Foothill Trojans, who are 3-1, take on the winless Stockdale Mustangs. Dennis, Stockdale has lost 3 games by 7 points or less this year.
Yeah, Mark, it's been a really tough preseason for them. But tonight is a night they can really get their act together. They're playing a good Foothill team. But I think if they can get off to a good start tonight and be competitive, it'll really bring them into next week when their league starts.
We saw Foothill against West. That was a lopsided score in favor of Foothill. I happened to see Foothill against Clovis West, and the Trojans were definitely dominated.
Right, but I think Foothill really bounced back last week, Mark, against South, 21-6. They want to continue to improve and get better for league next week.
Stockdale throws the ball very effectively. Anderson, the quarterback, has over 600 yards passing. Foothill is primarily a run-oriented team.
Well, tonight the key will be Stockdale's defense. Can they handle the great runners of Foothill? And that'll be the key tonight. We'll see what happens.
It's Foothill and Stockdale tonight from West High on Time Warner Cable, Channel 52.
Look fabulous in glamour rings and earrings from Gottschalk's, now 30% off.
Dress up your fall wardrobe with dazzling jewelry at an affordable price, just $6.99 each piece.
Choose from sterling silver and costume jewelry, set with simulated gemstones and pearls.
But don't wait. At this great price, they'll be gone in a flash.
Glamour rings and earrings, now 30% off, only at Gottschalk's. We're your store.
Excuse me, is that tuxedo from AJ?
Let AJ's get you noticed. A Bakersfield tradition for over 25 years. Specializing in Pierre Cardin, Christian Dior, Oscar de la Renta, and Calvin Klein. AJ's Tuxedo Junction with 3 great locations to serve you.
It was a day like any other. Mom was baking her famous cinnamon rolls when suddenly the skies grew dark and the winds began to blow. There was no mistake, a cyclone was coming. We ran for cover just in time. And when we returned, the most incredible thing had happened.
Oh, my.
With a taste that'd make your taste buds spin, people came from miles around for just one bite. And you will, too, at Cinnamon Cyclone.
Cinnamon Cyclones is now open at 18th and Chester, so stop by. We'll make your taste buds spin.
Get in on all the football action with refreshing Coca-Cola Classic. This game is brought to you by your Coca-Cola bottler in Bakersfield. Always for the fans. Always Coca-Cola.
Good evening from West High School. Welcome to Prep Football on Time Warner Cable, Channel 52. I'm Mark Heffernan. With me is my brother Dennis. Tonight, the Foothill Trojans, who are 3-1, take on the Stockdale Mustangs, who are 0-4. The Stockdale has been in just about every game, but they have fallen short, especially in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's been a difficult year for Stockdale so far, going 0-4, Mark, and they really need a victory, especially going into the conference play coming up next week. You know, it's really good to get that first victory, and that's really going to help them. But right now, I think they need to come out here in the first half, play some good football, especially defense against the potent running attack of Foothill. So hopefully we'll have an exciting game and see what happens.
Foothill competes in the Southeast Premier League and Stockdale in the Southwest Premier League. Foothill is supposed to be a challenger to VHS in that conference, and Stockdale hoping to be a challenger to Centennial in the SWYL.
Well, right now, after the big victory of Centennial over Bakersfield last week, I'd say Bakersfield and Centennial are the teams to beat, but we'll see how Stockdale goes. Right now, they're going to have to get some improvement, Mark, especially offensive consistency with their running game in order to be a competitive team to Centennial this year.
Stockdale has the black jerseys and silver pants. Foothill with the black pants, white jerseys, black and gold helmets. Stockdale's primary colors are silver and black like the Oakland Raiders, and Foothill very much like the Pittsburgh Steelers, black, gold, and white. Kick coming to Foothill goes into the end zone. Foothill moving right to left in the first quarter, and Stockdale in the other direction. Foothill, of course, features the 3-pronged runners of LaTroy Higgins, Gerald Irvins, and Myron Hurd. Marco Diaz is their quarterback. Stockdale Anderson has thrown for over 600 yards, and Deion Ferguson is their main runner.
Well, Mark, I think Footill's going to come out early in this game and try to establish their running game. You know, they have the Delaware wing tee, similar to what Clovis West runs, so they want to come out and be effective here right off the bat.
Foothill Trojans on that Delaware wing tee. First down run gains about 4 yards. Number 32, Myron Hurd, who I think is the best overall player on the Foothill team. Definitely a tough runner. He's the one player who looked very good against Clovis West. Well, as you know, we did the West High game on Time Warner. I saw Foothill play Clovis West the following week in that Pigskin Classic, and that was a brutal affair for the Trojans.
Well, Mark, he's got good size. He runs very well between the tackles. He's got good power and speed.
Second play, gain of about maybe a half yard. Randy Camarillo, who normally doesn't play this early in the game for Foothill. At this point, he's taken the spot of Gerald Irvin. Irvin's last week had a couple of touchdowns but only had 32 yards rushing for Foothill.
Well, Mark, as I noted in the pregame show, the defense for Stockdale will be the key tonight. And Stockdale has played very effectively, especially in the first 3 quarters this year. But they've had some breakdowns in the 4th quarter in a lot of their football games, and that's really hurt them. So, so far they've been pretty tough here on the first drive for Foothill.
Third and a long 4 for the Trojans. Man in motion, possibly a motion penalty against Foothill. We'll see what they call. Number 24 is in motion for the Trojans. Randy Camarillo, who carried the ball on the second down. It's against the Trojans, a 5-yard walk-off. A lot of difference between 3rd and 4 and 3rd and 9.
Well, I think Foothill really is still trying to establish some confidence because, you know, they started out, Mark, doing very well early in the season. Then they went up to Clovis West and had debacle up there. And that really, I think, threw them for a loop. I think Coach Permenter was really surprised when they got beat as bad as they did. And they're just trying to gain some confidence right now.
Well, of course, Clovis West is a slightly different opponent than the other teams they play. At Herb with a short gain. And it will be punt time for Foothill. So on 3rd and 9, they run it straight up the middle for a gain of about 2 or 3 yards. So a very conservative call for Foothill. And, you know, like I saw that game against Clovis West, and Foothill, I don't believe, was mentally into it from the very beginning. They fumbled the first 2 kickoffs. Some of the running backs fumbled a couple of passes in the backfield. The second time they tried to punt, Clovis West blocked and recovered in the end zone. So it was 14-0 with about 10 minutes to go in the first quarter. They never recovered. Line drive punt. Stockdale will have very good field position. As the ball's down at the Stockdale 47-yard line. So 1st and 10 for the Mustangs here in the first quarter. 9:50 to play in the first period.
47-yard line.
Stockdale has thrown the ball very effectively this year. Deion Ferguson, their top runner. But Anderson has thrown for 4 touchdowns and over 600 yards this year for Stockdale. He's a junior. Foothill primarily is a run-oriented team, so differences tonight.
Well, Mark, that's one thing we need to worry about is Coach Permenter on his quarterback, their 3rd and 9, decide to run. You need to give confidence in your quarterback, Marco Diaz. You've got to let him throw once in a while so he can develop some confidence.
John Barker wide to the right for Stockdale, I formation. Anderson, Barker's in motion. He's the H-back. First in the ball carrier. Dances his way for about 3 or 4 yards inside Foothill territory at the 48-yard line. Deion Ferguson, the top runner for Stockdale this year.
Well, Mark, at 5'6" and 152, he's got tremendous quickness because he's not going to be running over anybody, but he uses a lot of lateral movement. And I think reminds me a little bit of Mike Garrett when he used to run at USC. Very quick lateral, and that's really where he makes most of his yards is lateral. A little bit like Barry Sanders there.
Anderson changing the play or the count. 2nd and 5 for Stockdale. Barker in motion. Ferguson again off left tackle. Had his thrown down after a gain of maybe a half yard. He probably doesn't have the power, so he has to rely on a lot of quickness and lateral movement. Ben Lewis is a flanker for Stockdale. Darren Jeffrey, number 14, has caught 12 passes for 128 yards this year and a couple of touchdowns. Lewis with 14 receptions for 252. Nick Radin, the tight end, number 84. Sean Barker, number 8, the H-back. And we'll talk about the linemen in the next play. About 3rd and 4 for Stockdale. Play action. Anderson the throw. Pass knocked up in the air, incomplete. So 4th down for Stockdale. It will probably be punting time for the Mustangs. Brandon Schenkel, a player that has done a lot of plays defensively for Foothill, number 44, got a hand on that one and knocked it away.
Well, Foothill got excellent penetration on that last 3rd down play for Stockdale and was able to knock the ball down by the quarterback. And so Anderson, it's fourth down for Stockdale. Not a real auspicious start for Stockdale, but it's early, and I think they want to get their running game going so they can develop their passing attack as the game progresses, Mark. Here we got 8:33 left in the first period, no score.
And Jason West back deep for Foothill. The sophomore standing at the 10-yard line. Beautiful punt. That's by Barker. He will let it drop, and it goes to the end zone. So Foothill will have the first and 10 from their own 20-yard line. Like you said, 8:24 to play in the first quarter. No score, as neither team really got anything going on their first drive.
Well, Mark, on the last series for Foothill, as you know, it was 3rd and 9. They ran straight up the middle, and you have a quarterback like Marco Diaz, a senior, and I really think you need to open it up a little bit on 3rd and 9 and try to pass the ball. I mean, if you're the coach and you don't show your quarterback that you've got confidence in that he can throw the football, it's really going to be difficult down the road when you have some tight games. So I think that needs to open up a little bit, Foothill.
Gerald Irvin's the ball carrier. Cuts back to his left and brought down by number 44 for Stockdale. Short gain of maybe 2 yards.
Picks up a couple yards before he's brought down by number 44.
Nice pursuit. Uberoff, the linebacker for Stockdale. Good pursuit by the Mustangs. But it's 2nd and 8 for Foothill.
Mark Uberoff plays linebacker, kind of a rover back. He's 5'11", 175-pounder for Stockdale. Very effective on both sides of the ball.
The ball goes to the first man through, Myron Hurd, number 32. Short gain of about 2 yards. And it'll be 3rd and 5 for Foothill.
Picked up a couple before he's brought down by Andrew Ferguson.
Situation where it might be too far to run it on 3rd down, but when you run the Delaware wing C, most teams like to run it. Foothill definitely does. Like we said, they have run effectively this year, but they haven't passed too well.
Mark, one player to look for Stockdale defensively is linebacker MC Crowder, 5'11", 216-pound junior. Very effective on defense for Stockdale.
Irvin's the ball carrier. Flag is down as he picks up the first down, but most likely it's against the Foothill Trojans. Number 2, Gerald Irvin. Taking that ball. Holding against Foothill. Uberoff making the tackle.
Well, Foothill's going to be backed up here, Mark. It's going to be 3rd and long. And again, they're in a situation where a pass might be appropriate here. We'll see what kind of offensive scheme they come up with on 3rd down. But, so far they really haven't been able to run inside the tackles. Stockdale's been very strong up the middle here in the first quarter. And I think Foothill really needs to look for maybe a rollout, maybe some type of pass, short pass. They need personnel, they need 15 yards. But I don't think a run's really effective 3rd and 15.
John Barker, the safety for Stockdale. Irvin breaks a couple of tackles, picks up about 7 or 8 yards, but it's 4th down for Foothill. So Foothill playing it conservative, deep in their own territory, runs it on 3rd and 15. And it'll be 4th and 6. Should pick up maybe 8 yards, but nevertheless way short of the first down marker.
Yeah, I thought Gerald Irvin ran pretty good the last 2 plays there, Mark. He looked a little more confident, running fairly hard, broke a few tackles, looked a little better on that series.
He's looking to break it deep. The snap and a punt away, 6:43 to play in the first quarter. Punt is very short, end over end. Doesn't take much of a balance in either direction. Baker's punt very short, and Stockdale will have excellent field position at Foothill's 47-yard line. So over the second consecutive time, Stockdale starting off in good position and a chance to do something here.
Well, Mark, that ball might have got caught up in the wind. It was a 17-yard punt, so it really didn't go too far. So,
is it blowing that hard out there? Well, yeah, I guess it is. You look at the flag.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good stiff breeze tonight, blowing left to right.
Unusual weather for Bakersfield. Slot man Barker. Anderson, long count. Rolls to his right, heavy rush. Hit from behind, incomplete pass. Myron Hurd comes from behind. Comes from that outside of defensive end. Anderson never saw him coming. Incompletion, 2nd and 10 for the Stockdale Mustangs.
Well, one of the problems Anderson has, Mark, is that being 5'10", about 160, he's having a little bit of tough time seeing over some of the linemen, and that makes it very difficult. I think he might be a little more effective if he rolls out, and I think then he'll have a little clearer view of the secondary.
That right tackle for Stockdale, number 75, Anthony Padilla. Right guard, Tyson Clayton, number 77. Ferguson with a gain of about 2 or 3 yards across the 45 to the 44. The center, number 73, Patrick Beagle. Left guard, number 60, Mike Puskerich. Left tackle for Stockdale, number 64, Clinton Oliver. And the running back, Keon Ferguson, number 2, and of course, quarterback Mike Anderson. So we have a 3rd and a long 7 for Stockdale. Definitely a passing down at 6 minutes to play in the first quarter. Mustangs and the Trojans from West High. Receivers to each side. Addison to throw it. Lost it down the right sideline. Excellent coverage by Foothill. And no chance to complete that one. Stan Lewis, the intended receiver for Stockdale. And it's 4th and down.
Well, Mark,
More or less a hit-and-miss type of pass pattern.
Yeah, it was a stop and go down the right sideline, but Randy Camarillo, the left cornerback, was with him man-to-man all the way and really made a great play. Yeah.
West back deep for Foothill, the lone man, standing at his 10-yard line. That's the same situation where he was last time. And Barker will be punting from his 40 for Stockdale. Nice snap. Takes his time. Moves it to the left, away from West. Trying to angle it towards the sideline. Much better punt than the last time.
Well, Mark, the wind's blowing left to right, or it's going from north to south. And Stockdale has the wind behind them here in the first quarter, so they're going to throw a little bit more, and also the punts are going to go a little bit better, too, with the wind behind them. You got a stiff breeze of about 20 miles an hour.
It looks like it's blowing right to left here in the first quarter. Nice punt as Stockdale has Foothill back deep in their own territory at about the 10-yard line.
Well, Mark, Stockdale's doing what they have to do tonight so far in the first quarter. Their defense is playing very well against Foothill. What they want to do is their defense needs to keep them in the game, and then hopefully they can get a few breaks here and score.
Quick snap. Gerald Irvin's the ball carrier. Another flag is down as Gerald runs for about 3 or 4 yards. John Barker in on the tackle, along with a number of other Mustangs. Hendrickson for Stockdale. And another holding penalty against the Trojans, and they continue to back in the wrong direction.
Well, you know, Mark, we saw Foothill in our second broadcast, and they looked very effective against West. Of course, West had been struggling a little bit, but since that time, they've really encountered some problems with their offense, getting any kind of fluidity going, right? I mean, there's no continuity in the offense at all, and of course, they've had a lot of breakdowns, holding and miscues, and you know, some third down plays when maybe they should pass and run.
They've had 2 holding penalties and a legal procedure already in this game. It's only the 3rd time they've had the ball. And it's been deep in their own territory, which makes it tough. Okay, 1st and 15. Heard the ball carrier, stays on his feet, good run, thrown down, close to the first down marker, number 32. Runs a lot of power for the Trojans. Across the 20 to about the 22. That's the 1st and 10 for Stockdale. Yearvroth with a tackle, 5:05 to play in the first quarter. So Myron Hurd showing his power and speed.
Well, Mark, we got to give some credit to that Foothill offensive line. They were very solid on that play, and of course Myron Hurd made a great run inside the tackle and broke about 3 tackles to pick up the first down.
1st and 10 for Foothill. Irvin's the ball carrier, cuts back, slices his way across the 25 to about the 26. A gain of about 5 yards, running behind that offensive line as he runs left to right. Good 5-yard pickup. That's what Foothill likes on first down. Knock out about 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5.
Mark, on that last play there, left guard Robert Alvarado. Listen to this, 5'8", 250, the left guard for Foothill. Boy, he's really a spark plug there. He made a great block on that last play.
And he is number 65 for the Trojans. As we have another flag down. As LaTroy Higgins, number 4, is in motion for Foothill.
Mark, how do you get 250 at 5'8"? That's pretty good size.
He's been eating a lot of beef, that's for sure. Another penalty against the Trojans. They are killing themselves with penalties, as it's making the drives very difficult. They're back at the 22-yard line. Well, Mark, it looked like a good 5-yard pickup. Now it's 2nd and 10 again.
Well, Mark, with the Delaware wing tee, and of course with any kind of a running game, when you don't get at least 4 or 5 yards on first down, it makes it very difficult because now you've always got 3rd and long. And right now, Foothill has been faced with 3rd and long many times so far here in the first quarter, and that's one of the reasons why they haven't been able to move the football consistently.
Oh, Wilson like to right. Myron Hurd straight up the middle, and not much is there. The number of Stockdale Mustangs. Andrew Sorensen making the tackle. 3 and 7 for Foothill, 3:40 to play in the first quarter. So the Trojans trying to pound it up the middle, and not much success there. And, you know, once again we have a passing situation. Diaz is not thrown tonight. Marcus Diaz, the quarterback, number 11.
Well, Mark, one player that's been very effective for Stockdale tonight, Andrew Ferguson, fullback linebacker, 6'1", 189, he's senior. He's been very effective.
He is on a kicker, fool's error, but he cuts back, first down, and more. That's about a 20-yard pickup by Marco Diaz. As he takes the ball up the middle, seemed to fool the entire Stockdale defense. Matt Martin making the tackle for Stockdale. First and 10 for Foothill.
Well, Mark, we talk about LaTroy Higgins, what an effective player he is on both sides of the ball. And on that play there, he made a great block for the quarterback to spring him on the outside. So LaTroy Higgins doing it on both sides of the ball tonight.
Loves it. Inside handout to Hurd. Powers his way for about 5 or 6 yards to the 49-yard line. A nice pickup on first down. At a 2nd and 4. Marv with a tackle for Stockdale, but he dragged about 2 or 3 Mustang defenders that time. 2nd and 4.
Well, Mark, on that last play, Ryan Wilson, the center for Foothill, 6'1", 225, laid a nice block to help spring the ball carrier.
Okay, Diaz on the keeper. Will he pitch it? Basic. Last-minute pitch to Higgins down the sideline. That's 30 and out of bounds. Big pickup for the Trojans once again, 5, 10, 15, about 20 yards that time.
Mark, that was a great play by the quarterback, Diaz. He rolled out to his right on an option play, made about 10 yards, waited for the defense to come to him. And then once they pinched towards him, he was able to pitch the ball out, and Higgins made a nice run down the right sideline. So again, it was just a situation where the quarterback really read the defense well that time, and they sprung for a nice game.
And Diaz is finding that it's open on the outside. Inside handoff. Myron Hurd gains about a yard. And he's at the 25-yard line. 2:09 to play in the first quarter. No score between Foothill and Stockdale from West High School.
Well, of course, Stockdale's been playing inside, Mark, and really trying to stop the running plays between the tackles. And like you say, in this last series here for Foothill, they've noticed some outside room, and they've been able to exploit the secondary of Stockdale and the defensive ends and made some nice gains around the corners.
Well, Diaz looks like he has fairly adequate running speed. On the right hash mark. Pickens. Irvin powers his way for about 5 yards inside the 20 to about the 19 or 18. Nice stutter step to move right to left. Gerald Irvin's looking a little bit better tonight for the Trojans of Ned Fermenter.
Well, again, the offensive line of Foothill on this offensive series are starting to dominate the defensive line of Stockdale. They are bigger per man, and they're starting to move him back a little bit now.
And Mark Hance, the head coach of Stockdale, has to be concerned. The former outstanding athlete at South High.
I think he's probably a little bit concerned before every game, Mark.
Here's the keeper, puts his head down and goes down just outside the 15 after 16.
Short of the first down.
Inside the first, it'll be 4th down for Foothill. Ubroff with another tackle. I always think of Peter when I hear that name.
My man Ubroff, Mark, playing outside linebackers all over the field
Good
tonight.
solid tackler, though, number 40.
For a 170-pounder, he sure can hit. Reminds me of another player I used to know, played at Garces years ago, could hit at 170.
That's right. And a player played at Garces last year, the last 3 years, that was about the same weight. That was an excellent player. 4th down for Foothill. Keeper by Diaz, they hit him.
Diaz with the keeper.
He might have it, but we could have a measurement. We'll see what his forward progress is. I think he picked up maybe a half yard.
34, Alan wrong.
They're calling it 1st and 10 for Foothill. So the Trojans at the Stockdale 15-yard line, 1st and 10. As the first quarter is winding down, about 25 seconds left.
Well, Mark, when I mentioned the 170-pounder Garces years ago, I was talking about you, yours truly.
I wasn't tough like that. Irvin hitting the backfield and losing. Well, Ferguson, 3 or 4 yards, and Stockdale penetrated very well on that first down. So it'll be 2nd and 14 for Foothill as the first quarter comes to a conclusion. Foothill nothing, Stockdale nothing on Time Warner Cable, Channel 52.
Where did the power flow come from?
The new Power Flow sports bottle. It's faster, so you can get back into the game where you belong. The new Power Flow from Powerade. Power the working muscles when you need it. I am not done.
Get back into the game with Powerade. This game is brought to you by Powerade and your Coca-Cola bottler in Bakersfield. Powerade, you are not done.
It was a day like any other. Mom was baking her famous cinnamon rolls when suddenly the skies grew dark and the winds began to blow. There was no mistake, a cyclone was coming. We ran for cover just in time. And when we returned, the most incredible thing had happened.
Oh, my.
With a taste that'd make your taste buds spin, people came from miles around for just one bite. And you will too at Cinnamon Cyclone.
Cinnamon Cyclones is now open at 18th and Chester, so stop by. We'll make your taste buds spin. Excuse me, is that tuxedo from AJ's?
Let AJ's get you noticed. A Bakersfield tradition for over 25 years, specializing in Pierre Cardin, Christian Dior, Oscar de la Renta, and Calvin Klein. AJ's Tuxedo Junction, with 3 great locations to serve you.
Look fabulous in glamour rings and earrings from Gottschalk's, now 30% off.
Dress up your fall wardrobe with dazzling jewelry at an affordable price. Just $6.99 each piece.
Choose from sterling silver and costume jewelry, set with simulated gemstones and pearls.
But don't wait. At this great price, they'll be gone in a flash.
Glamour rings and earrings, now 30% off, only at Gottschalk's. We're your store.
Now we begin the second quarter of action from West High School. Foothill ball. Diaz on the keeper, dragged down from behind as he gets to about the 15-yard line.
Yes, broke down by number 7.
Well, Mark, here in the start of the second quarter, Foothill has a nice drive going here. They've really kept the ball on the ground. They haven't completed one pass, even attempted a pass so far in the football game. So Coach Permenter, who's been there for years, I guess the longest active coach here in Kern County, I mean, he's just going to keep it on the ground. Even when I was there in the late 60s, they ran the football. They have not changed.
I think he's been at Foothill longer than Dean Smith was in North Carolina.
Yes, he has.
And Dean was there 36 years. Play action. Diaz to throw over the middle. Complete. Oh! No, it was complete. Myron Hurd had the ball right in his hands. He just simply lost it. He was hearing footsteps. He was hearing Mustangs coming in his path.
Well, Mark, that was a perfect pass. Roll out to the right. He made a nice 10-yard throw to Hurd, dropped the ball. Maybe that's why they run the football.
I have to stop anticipating these catches. That's about the third time I've done it this year. On the pass that was right in somebody's hand, they dropped, and I think it was completion. 4th down for Foothill. Early here in the second quarter, Baker trying to field goal from the 22-yard line. 32-yard attempt by number 3. Left-footed kicker. Cap is down. Line drive. It's good. Didn't look pretty, but it is successful by Baker. 3-0 Foothill.
Well, I'll tell you, Foothill, nice drive. They ran the ball very well on that series. The only pass they threw would have been for a first down, but of course Myron Hurd dropped it. But again, I think Foothill in that second series, actually the third offensive series, started to go to the outside mark. It was very successful with Diaz, and then pitching the ball to Hurd. And Irvin looked good running up the middle between the tackles there. LaTroy Higgins made a nice run down the sideline. So everybody was involved in the offense on that last series. Foothill really looked good there, and of course they got stopped there, but still they scored 3 points. So they had 3-0 here, 11:09 before halftime. So looking good. We'll see what Stockdale can do.
Prep football is sponsored on Time Warner Cable by Coca-Cola, Cinnamon Cyclone, Gottschalk's, and AJ's Tuxedo Junction. If you'd like a copy of tonight's game, you can call Time Warner Productions at 322-1941. That's 322-1941. Time Warner Productions. 3-0 Foothill. Baker will be kicking off. Here's Stockdale. Defensive struggle tonight from West High School. West is playing East High at Bakersfield College. Looks like a penalty against Foothill. Somebody went across the line too early, so that will probably cost the Trojans 5 yards.
Well, Mark, some of the other games tonight in the Bakersfield area, of course, this is not in the Bakersfield area, but it's an intersectional type game. BHS at Capistrano Valley. That should be an interesting game. See if Bakersfield can bounce back from the Centennial loss last week. And then, of course, out of Centennial, Garces at Centennial. That should be an interesting non-league game there.
I'm not sure that Garces has the manpower and the size to contend with Centennial tonight. Garces really struggled offensively this year, winning the last 2 games by 15-13 and 13-12 over opponents that are not as big and strong or as good as Centennial.
And of course, the other game you mentioned already, West at Highland at Memorial Stadium, the 2-0-4 team. So somebody's not going to be 0-4 after tonight,
unless they tie. Kick goes through the end zone, and Stockdale would take it out to their own 20-yard line. That's if they tie after the OT, after the sudden death. 11:09 to play. Highland had a very good offensive performance last week, their best of the year so far. They're a very young team.
Yeah, and of course, as you know, Mark, especially with a young team, there has to be improvement week in and week out. And I think Highland has made some improvement, and I definitely think that West has made some improvement, especially after the loss in that pigskin classic to Buchanan. I think they made some improvement last week against East Bakersfield.
Well, they had a receiver that had 7 receptions last week, and Ballard's running effectively the big fullback this off.
And how about Robinson? What do you have, 6 touchdowns? Amazing.
He plays for East High, Robinson, the senior. Okay, 1st and 10 for Stockdale. Somewhat of a windy and very cool Friday night. Anderson rolling to his left, looking over the middle, pass complete. First down for the Mustangs. Yes, sir. Dan Lewis with a reception. Nice throw by Anderson.
Well, Mark Anderson made a nice pass there, about a 17-yard pickup. Very nice there. I think Stockdale in this series here is coming out, and I think we're going to see him start throwing the football a little bit. They haven't been successful at all running the ball. And I think against the size of the Foothill defensive front, I think it's important for Stockdale now to try to get that ball into the secondary, try to pick up bigger chunks of yardage.
And it's a long count. The ball given to Ferguson. Seems to just run into the Foothill defense. Thought he had a chance to cut back over the middle. Hurd was there, also number 44 for the Trojans. 2nd and close to 10. Menard, 10:24 to play in the first half in a very quick-moving football game. 3-0 Foothill, and 2nd and 10 for Stockdale.
Well, Mark, one player that's played very effectively on defensive football tonight is Anthony Phillips. He plays defensive line. He's 6'3", about 286. So he's a solid football player in there.
Anderson rolling to his right. Flag is down. The pass incomplete on the far side. And maybe holding against Stockdale as he rolled wide to his right. The pass intended for Derek Jeffrey, overthrown out of bounds. We'll see if it's against the Mustangs. They're silver and black. A lot of holding penalties tonight. Foothill guilty of that on at least 2 occasions. And I think 4 penalties overall against the Trojans. That's a big one against Stockdale. They try to get something going here in the second quarter, down 3-0.
Well, it's difficult, especially when you don't match up physically with a team like Foothill, which is bigger than you. And, I think Stockdale's going to have to finesse them a little bit. And I think the passing game really is the way to go tonight. But, again, like you say, with the hard-charging Foothill front, defensive front there was a holding call there. Just not able to keep him out.
2nd and 25 for Stockdale. Anderson's another long count. Great drop back. They're coming out of the pass from the opposite direction, intended for Barker. Barker went in. The pass was out. So the Trojans are putting on a heavy rush on Anderson, and he had to get rid of it very quickly. Hurd was coming on him. A couple of other Trojans.
Yes, he's just not getting the kind of time to throw. And, I think one play that might work for Stockdale tonight, Mark, they haven't really tried it, maybe a draw play or even a screen.
Take away from that run.
Yeah, because right now with that pressure that he's getting from the front 7 of Foothill, he's just not getting any kind of time to throw anything deep. So maybe a screen or a draw play might be effective.
Good time to try it on 3rd and 25. I'd say a draw. It's a crossover. They lose about a yard or 2. Excellent penetration by the Trojans. Barker the ball carrier, the H-back. Phillips making another tackle. Was not pulled at all. Contained. Stayed his ground.
Well,
4th and 26, 27 for Stockdale. So the Trojans will have very good field position here.
Well, Mark, what can you say about the Trojans? I mean, there's so many good Trojan teams around. And we've got another one here tonight. Foothill leading 3-0 here in the second quarter.
Okay, 9:23 to play in the first half. West back deep from Foothill at his own 45. Son wobbles out against the wind. He takes it on the run. Dangerous play. He's hit immediately after getting about run back about 7 or 8 yards. Nice pick by Stockdale. That would be.
Mark, that was Reggie Gonzalez, number 45 for Stockdale.
Number 45 being mobbed by his teammates. But Foothill has very good field position at the Stockdale 42-yard line.
Mark, that might, so far that's our best hit of the season that I remember. I mean, he really took a shot there, and that was a great tackle.
Well, it's a situation where he's coming up on a line drive punt. He's taking it on the run. He got hit immediately. It's a great play by the defense. Foothill has very good position. Gordon Walker has some room. There's 5 yards. Looking for the cutback. close to the first down marker, around the 41-yard line. Gerald Irvin's looking for the opening. Another penalty flag is down. Irvin seems to run so easily all the time. He doesn't have that explosiveness he had last year, but he's getting better week by week, but I think still a long ways from his abilities of last year.
Well, I think, Mark, his straight-ahead speed does not seem to be diminished much. Where he's having this problem is that when he's cutting, he's slowing down before he cuts. Instead of just cutting naturally, he's kind of slowing down, and then he tries to make a perfect cut. And when you do that, the defense makes comes in with the pressure. You got to cut without thinking about it. It's got to be effortlessly, and he's not doing that right now.
It's got to be instinctive.
Right.
First and 10, a penalty against Stockdale. Myron Hurd powers his way up the middle. They get about 3 or 4 yards, close to the 10-yard line. They might mark it at the 12.
Mark, what that was piling on Gerald Irvin. Personal foul on Stockdale, and that gave Foothill automatic first down. So, piling on there really hurt Stockdale in that situation. That's a major penalty of 15 yards and puts Foothill in good field position here.
The Foothill Trojans trying to score again. They're in the second quarter, 8:20 to play. Irvin to the outside, straight arm, gets to about the 10-yard line. Stockdale comes up very well. Number 78 over there.
Irvin brought down by Uberoth.
And number 44, Uberoth. Uberoth showing his quickness, linebacker for the Mustangs. Call it third and about 5 for Foothill.
That'll be third down and 4 yards to go.
Stockdale appears, Mark, on the last drive that Foothill got their 3 points on. It seems like in this situation here with Foothill driving the ball, Stockdale's done a better job of showing up the outside run. Foothill's not been able to get off on the outside run in this series.
They're in the box here. Powers his way up the middle behind that big Foothill offensive line to about the 5, maybe inside of that, close to the first down marker. Close, it depends on the spot. With 7:37 to play in the second quarter.
Well, Mark, he went behind Greg Torrey, 6 foot 250, the right guard of Foothill, opened up a nice pull there for Gerald Irvin. Again, in between the tackles, and that's really where Foothill would like to hit Irvin. Quick hitters right at the middle. Irvin, Hurd, and LaTroy Higgins.
Thunder and Hurd. First and goal for the Trojans. Full house backfield. He is on a keeper. Dives close to the goal line to about the 1. Takes the ball to number 32, Hurd. Tricking himself. Diaz has been a very effective runner tonight for Foothill. As he's picked the ball at the middle, he's ran very effectively to the outside, this time inside the tackle. Remember, he had a 20-yard run earlier in the game and about a 10-yard run before he pitched the ball back to Higgins.
The mark at 6'2", 182. He's really improved his running ability since we saw him in the second week of the season. He was throwing the ball a lot more than now. He's really gotten into the running game.
Irvin to the outside. There's that speed. Dancing into the end zone for the touchdown. Gerald Irvin will put his first touchdown tonight with the Trojans 9 and Stockdale nothing.
Yeah, he looked good on that play. He just went around the left side and outran the cornerback and kind of used up as he went into the end zone. Irvin, like we say, he's good when he can go ahead full speed. When he has to cut, when he has a little bit of a problem. That time is just able to sprint to the left goal line and sideline mark on the left side, and made a rather easy touchdown there.
Baker trying to PAT number 3. Working well this time, and it's good. 10-0 Foothill, 6:37 to play in the first half. So the Trojans using up the clock and scoring some points here in the first half, which is going to make it very doubly difficult for Stockdale, because the Mustangs have not run the ball effectively. They really haven't passed it that well either.
Well, no, they really haven't, and this game really is dominated by the Foothill line, offensively and defensively. Of course, Foothill has some of the players going both ways that have been really standouts. I'd say Myron Hurd's done a great job today, blocking for Gerald Irvin, also carrying the football and also playing defense. Put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, Anderson of Stockdale, so he's been effective. Phillips has been very effective defensively, but he also plays some offense on the line, so he's been effective both ways. And LaTroy Higgins has made some good plays offensively, blocking, carrying the ball, and he also has done a good job defensively. So the players that are going both ways from Foothill have done very well. And, of course, we can't forget the quarterback, Diaz, who I think so far has been the key player for the Foothill's offense.
He's ran the offense very well tonight. Made some excellent pitches and has shown a lot of confidence in his running ability. You know, Gottschalk is a new sponsor of Prep Football on Time Warner Cable. They joined Coca-Cola, Cinnamon Cyclone, and A.J. Tuxedo Junction. Gotcha. One of our new sponsors to Prep Football on Time Warner Cable, Channel 52.
Mark, that's where I shop all the time.
Okay. Kickoff. Goes through the hands. Aspie dances to about the 15-yard line. Doesn't get that far. Goes backwards. And Stockdale will have very poor field position at their own 10-yard line. A ball making attack for Foothill. First and 10 for the Mustangs at their own 10. They're down 10-0. 6:30 to play in the first half.
Yeah, you want to let that ball go in the end zone, get that ball in the 20, but if you decide to run that ball, you don't want to go lateral. You want to go north and south, because right now they need good field position, and he didn't do it for them because they're only on the 10-yard line.
Anderson surveying the defense. Footill's been coming at him very hard today. Sean Barker sweeps right, has a first down across the 20 to about the 22. Number 8, Sean Barker, good blocking on the right side by the Mustangs. Schenkel makes a lot of tackles for Foothill. Number 44.
Well, Mark Tyson Clayton, offensive lineman, right tackle for Stockdale, 6'2", and he goes at about 260, junior. He made a nice block there on that last.
Number 77 for Stockdale.
Right, fine player.
Right tackle, number 75, Anthony Padilla for the Mustangs. 6:02 to play in the first half. Right half mark, the ball for the Mustangs. Long count. Ferguson, the ball carrier. Hit immediately, and there's a late flag. Number 79 in on that tackle for Foothill. Menard, 68. Malote. And there's a guy who plays very well against Columbus West, Ryan Malote, 34.
Right. Well, Mark, we've talked about 79 a lot. Anthony Phillips, the defensive down lineman for Foothill, has done a very fine job tonight, really plugging up the middle and keeping Stockdale from getting anything going in the interior offensive line.
And a penalties against the Mustangs. And they could ill afford that, down 10-0, 5:53 to play in the first half. And they're back deep in their territory. Their own 10-yard line, right where they started. First and 20 for Stockdale, right where they started this drive. Sean Barker now going left and cut down. He was effective going right on the sweep. Foothill rise to the challenge. 68. And number 34, Malote. Menares, we've heard his name.
Mark Ryan Maloki, number 34, or Malote, Maloki, whatever you want to call him. He can be called whatever he wants when he makes tackles like that. He's 5'6", 165 for Foothill. He does a fine job.
Ferguson leads the game for Stockdale. Seems to be limping as he came to the sideline. Second and 22. Anderson to throw it. The pass complete on the far side. 10-yard pickup and more. First down. Pushed out of bounds is number 22. Ocampo making his presence felt tonight in the game for the Mustangs.
Mark, it looked like on that play, Foothill was a little surprised at his speed. When he made the catch there, they came at the wrong angle, and he ran right around him down the right sideline. So he showed tremendous speed there. It looked like Foothill, the defensive cornerback on that play, was a little surprised. He went right around him on the play. I think he misjudged his speed, and when he went for the tackle, he took the wrong angle. And, of course, he was able to pick up an extra 10, 15 yards on the play. So a short pass went into a big game there. First down for Stockdale, Mark. They're on the move here.
Ocampo with a big run for the Mustangs at 4:58 to play. They still have a long ways to go, down 10-0. They'd like to get something on the board before the half. Well, hopefully a touchdown, it's not a field goal.
Well, I think with the win against them here, right in their faces, I don't think a field goal is really too realistic.
Too feasible, I guess.
Yeah, you could say that. But I think what they want to do is get something established here. They have enough time, but the thing is right now, the short passes might be effective because anything long, Mark's going right into the teeth of that wind. So it's going to be very difficult to get anything deep. But right now what they want to do is run the football a little bit and then make some short passes because they've got time at 4:58 here.
Isaac Ocampo is 5'5", 160. So he's got a lot of speed. Maybe they couldn't find him on the field. Looks like a big play type of player. 4:58 to play in the first half. 10-0. Foothill over the Mustangs. Anderson at QB for Stockdale, calling signals. And off the middle. The game is about 4 yards. Schenkel making the tackle for Foothill. Mustangs keep it on the ground. Be about 2nd and 6 for Stockdale.
Well, again, Mark, with 4:42 left here at halftime, those kind of plays aren't going to get you in the end zone, but I think they want to keep Foothill honest. But I think what they need to do now is really look to be passing the ball almost every down. Maybe some short passes, but I don't think running the ball right now is going to be too successful for them.
4:25 to play. Short drop, pass complete, and a short gain. It'd be third and about 2 or 3 for Stockdale. Jeffrey with the reception, number 14.
Mark, the right corner, Ramon Martinez of Foothill, really on that play, really did a fine job. He's right on the receiver that time, and did only gave him about a yard or two, and he made the tackle right after he caught the ball, so it was a fine play.
Didn't go for the face. Third down, a long 2 for the Mustangs. 3:55 to play in the first half. It's 10-0 Foothill. Jeffrey wide to the left. On the left hash mark for the Mustangs. Anderson with the count. Martin, close to the first down marker. That would be at his own 45-yard line. He is the brother of the outstanding pitcher at Bakersfield College. His brother, the top relief pitcher in the Western State Conference last year. First and 10 for the Mustangs.
Well, I think Stockdale, Mark, they've got some fine athletes, some good speed on the team, but I think one thing they need to work on probably would be to try to develop a little more size, especially in the interior line if they want to really be competitive in Kern County football. That's really the area they need to work on.
Especially in the Southwest Yosemite Lake. The pass complete to the far side, and they will lose yardage. Ocampo. He catches the ball and loses about a yard. That's amazing.
Well, actually, on that situation, that was a mistake by the quarterback, Anderson, because the receiver went out 1 or 2 yards, turned around. The defensive back was right there, so even if he had completed it, he wouldn't have gone anywhere. The quarterback needs to look farther down the field on that in that situation, Mark.
Derek Jeffrey wide to the left for Stockdale. Anderson hit from behind. Is it a fumble? I believe it is, and who has it? Foothill's all excited. People are falling all over the place. The Trojans say they have it, but what do the referees say? They're negotiating down there. I think Stockdale will keep the ball. That was a fumble, I believe. He got hit before his own intent forward.
Yeah. Again, Mark, the pressure of Myron Hurd again.
Myron Hurd and the Thundering Hurd, number 32.
Coming in from the right sideline, really was not even touched on that play. You know, Stockdale sending more receivers out, didn't leave anybody in the block, and just took a shot at the quarterback.
Now have to keep somebody back to block him. Now we have Barker line up in a slot, the opposite side of Hurd. Seeing a running back, now Anderson. Long count is Foothill offside. Might be in the neutral zone, the Trojans. At 2:12 to play in the first half.
Mark, I didn't know Gerald Irvin was playing defense. He's in the game playing defense for Foothill right now, number 2. And I didn't know he was in there. See number 2?
Yeah, it's number 21 who's in the game for Foothill. Playing free safety probably. Not hard to see it from our vantage point. 2 minutes to play in the first half. Stockdale the ball. 3rd and 25. A long ways to go. The ball's at their own 33-yard line. Interesting offense for the Mustangs. Anderson setting up for the screen over the middle to Barker. Breaks the tackle. Doesn't break the second one, though. Get it about 3 or 4 yards.
Yeah, Mark.
Inside screen.
Yeah, they brought Gerald Irvin and played defensive left end for the last couple offensive plays there. He played defense for Foothill, so apparently they're looking at him as maybe a little bit of a defensive player this year, Mark, in certain set situations.
He makes things happen out there. So the Mustangs will have it 4th down. We'll call it 4th and about 17, I would say. 1:30 to play in the first half. Mark, we have a timeout on the field.
Mark, one thing Foothill's doing tonight is on 3rd and 4th and long, especially 3rd and long, they're bringing LaTroy Higgins, Myron Hurd, and Gerald Irvin into the game, and all 3 of them are rushing the quarterback, especially when it's long and they know the quarterback's going to throw the ball. Anderson. Interesting setup by Foothill, because I don't remember them doing that before, but Gerald Irvin's on the left side, Myron Hurd's on the right side, and Higgins is in the middle as the linebacker, and all 3 of them are blitzing. So according to this, Nevermender's using a lot of his speed to rush the quarterback, put extra pressure on him with athletes who can run.
You see LaTroy Higgins, number 4 in there. Plays some linebackers for Foothill. Really hit the weight hard this summer. Playing here on the punt team for the Trojans. West back deep for Foothill. It's on 26. Line drive. Punt goes off the side of his foot. And Foothill will have it at their own 48-yard line. Very unusual looking punt by Barker. The wind is blowing rather heavily. That was a line drive from right to left.
Yeah, I think, Mark, he was, again, rushed, and he hurried the kick, and then, like you say, went off the side of his foot. And, again, Foothill in good field position here. With 1 minute and 24 left, they have some time. They have the wind at their back, so they might want to put up a pass here.
Open it up. Coach Fermenter. D is a QB for the Trojans. He looks to throw. Now he slips and he falls down. Well, twice when they tried to throw tonight, good things haven't happened. Well, the one pass was right to Hurd, and he dropped it at the 5-yard line. This time, he is looking to throw, and he slips and falls.
Well, I think, as you know, whether it's running the football or passing, you need to really make a commitment if you're going to throw the football, and that means a lot of commitment in practice time. You know, you just don't come out on a Friday evening and expect to throw. So any team who throws the ball effectively makes a commitment during the week to practice it and get it down. So, and I think that's what Foothill really doesn't do is make it.
There's the ball carrier, tries to cut back. Only gains about 1.5 yards on the play, across the 45 to about the 47. 35 seconds to play in the first half. Deagle making the tackle for Stockdale. Also plays on offense for the Mustangs. Foothill might just let the clock run or take one more play in the second quarter. They definitely are not in a lot of hurry as Diaz just jogs his way back to the huddle. The clock at 20 seconds to play. 10-0 Trojans. Here in the first half, the winning moment of the first half from West High. Jared Irvin hit hard after a gain of about 3 yards. And that should be the final play of the second quarter of the first half. At halftime from West High, it's Foothill 10, Stockdale nothing. And you're watching Prep Football exclusively on Time Warner Cable, Channel 52.
Excuse me, is that tuxedo from AJ's?
Let AJ's get you noticed. A Bakersfield tradition for over 25 years. Specializing in Pierre Cardin, Christian Dior, Oscar de la Renta, and Calvin Klein. AJ's Tuxedo Junction with 3 great locations to serve you.
Look fabulous in glamour rings and earrings from Gottschalk's, now 30% off.
Dress up your fall wardrobe with dazzling jewelry at an affordable price. Just $6.99 each piece.
Choose from sterling silver and costume jewelry, set with simulated gemstones and pearls.
But don't wait. At this great price, they'll be gone in a flash.
Glamour rings and earrings, now 30% off. Only at Gottschalk's. We're your store.
What it feels like to give in.
Powerade. Power to working muscles when you need it.
I am not done.
Get back into the game with Powerade. This game is brought to you by Powerade and your Coca-Cola bottler in Bakersfield. Powerade, you are not done.
It was a day like any other. Mom was baking her famous cinnamon rolls when suddenly the skies grew dark and the winds began to blow. There was no mistake, a cyclone was coming. We ran for cover just in time. And when we returned, the most incredible thing had happened.
Oh, my.
With a taste that'd make your taste buds spin, people came from miles around for just one bite. And you will, too, at Cinnamon Cyclone.
Cinnamon Cyclones is now open at 18th and Chester, so stop by. We'll make your taste buds spin.
first and 5 situation.
Yeah, that was
better than second and 5.
That was number 78 for BHS defensive tackle.
Centennial with the ball moving right to left in this quarter, down 10-7. And the Centennial crowd are on their feet. Play action, Bell throwing it deep. There's a man out there. It is complete, flag down. Number 20, Jared Bradford. I think the completion will stand. Probably a foul against BHS. Interference most likely against BHS. And he caught the ball anyway. Double coverage on Jared Bratcher, who is a speed man for Centennial. And it should be a 1st and 10 for the Golden Hawks.
Yeah, it looked like the Baker's Light defensive back didn't turn around when the ball was there, and it was a great catch by Jared Bratcher, the fine flanker for Centennial.
Nice throw by Vallis.
Vallis was showing an arm here in the second quarter, Mark.
Well, he had time to throw. Generally, it's hard to throw it deep against BHS because the coverage might break down or the blocking. 1st and 10 for the Golden Hawks at the BHS 24-yard line. Echeverry. Stubbe behind Vallis. Stubbe up the right side. Sliced his way for a gain of about 1 or 2 outside the 20 at the 21. 10-7 ball game. 3 minutes to play in the first half. BHS on top. Vallis practice for a long one. Deep inside BHS territory. Now they're about a yard and a half away from the red zone.
Well, they like to run wide to the right with Stubbe, but unfortunately you're running into the area where Mackey comes over in that area, and also Jason Stewart, the defensive end. So you're running against a couple pretty good players, and you try to move to that side of the line.
Of course, you have pitching lining up left offensive tackle for Centennial. They're going this way. Pitch back to Stubbe. They string him out wide and bring him down for the loss. I thought he may think about cutting back, but BHS really swarmed to the ball. Excellent defense. Graham, number 33. We have Stewart, 89. 42 Dunlap. Just the 3 or 4 drillers were there, strung it out, and then took him down.
Well, Mark, I said both teams are more effective running the ball from the middle. Both teams have done a good job stringing plays wide. And that's because, athletic-wise, both teams are pretty well evenly matched. And so when it goes wide, the defense is able to come up and really string the plays out for both teams. I think Centennial and Bakersfield are much better on quick hitters straight up the middle.
Well, Dennis on a touchdown run by Andrew Stubbe. He ran up the middle, broke a tackle, and then he looted another guy before taking it all the way. So that was not an outside play. Wide to the left, Justin Roberts for Centennial. 3rd and 11 for the Golden Hawks at the BHS 25. Left hash mark. Play action. Bell's rolling to his right. Heavy rush, throws it, and picked off by BHS. Number 42, really taking the distance. Tackle from behind by Andrew Stubbe. What a big play by 42, Jeff Dunlap.
Mark, we talk about big plays.
Defensive pressure.
Jason Stewart was coming in there. It looked like a screenplay that just didn't develop. And instead of taking a sack, the quarterback made an ill-advised toss there. And Bakersfield made a great interception, ran it back, 62 yards, and Bakersfield.
We talked about Jeff Dunlap, number 42, making some big plays tonight. And as you said, Stewart positive with his great rush on Vallis, and he probably should have taken the sack, but how many times you've seen the quarterback is going down, they try to throw the ball and it's picked off. The BHS had 3 guys in the area. 1st and 10 for the Drillers. 1:30 to play and a half. McCoy tackled after a gain of about 1 or 2 yards. So the Centennial D has to come up big here for the tackle by number 77, Brian Kitching. BHS has 2 INTs tonight and a long pass reception for a touchdown. But we talked about the Drillers' ability to make the big play when it counts most.
Well, they have been able to make some big plays tonight, but Centennial's defense has really rose to the challenge. Has really done a good job of stopping Bakersfield, especially in the red zone tonight.
Second down for BHS. Wiggle, McCoy, Johnson in motion. Tim Osborne rolling right to his right. Heavy rush. Oh, they miss him. Now he goes to his left. Nice block by Wiggle. The pass into the end zone. It is caught by Pat Osborne, but it's not a touchdown. Out of the end zone. That was quite a play.
Yeah, number 3.
Ezell had a chance to bring down the big quarterback, Tim Osborne. He eluded him, rolled to his left, fires it towards his brother to the far corner of the end zone.
I think he caught it, but I think he was out of the end zone.
Made a nice catch. He was out of the end zone. Wow.
But again, Centennial is doing a very good job of pursuing tonight, getting a lot of pressure on Tim Osborne, and he's not able to really set up the offense the way he'd like in his passing game. Again, that was kind of a scramble play, and it was not really a set play. So Centennial, again, doing the job defensively in the red zone.
Third and goal for BHS. Johnson in motion. Centennial defense moves that way. Is it motion against BHS? Or is it offside for Centennial? 1:14 to play in the first half. That's BHS 10, Centennial 7 on Time Warner Cable, Channel 52.
It was a day like any other. Mom was baking her famous cinnamon rolls when suddenly the skies grew dark and the winds began to blow. There was no mistake, a cyclone was coming. We ran for cover just in time. And when we returned, the most incredible thing had happened.
Oh, my.
With a taste that'd make your taste buds spin, people came from miles around for just one bite. And you will, too, at Cinnamon Cyclone.
Cinnamon Cyclones is now open at 18th and Chester, so stop by. We'll make your taste buds spin. Excuse me, is that tuxedo from AJ's?
Let AJ's get you noticed. A Bakersfield tradition for over 25 years, specializing in Pierre Cardin, Christian Dior, Oscar de la Renta, and Calvin Klein. AJ's Tuxedo Junction, with 3 great locations to serve you.
Where did the power flow come from?
The new Power Flow sports bottle. It's faster, so you can get back into the game where you belong. The new Power Flow from Powerade. Power the working muscles when you need it. I am not done.
Get back into the game with Powerade. This game is brought to you by Powerade and your Coca-Cola bottler in Bakersfield. Powerade, you are not done.
At halftime from West High School at Foothill 10, Stockdale nothing, Dennis. And we've had a little wet weather, especially during halftime. The rain has come down intermittently, and the crowds have been scampering for cover.
Well, we had a little bit of a cloudburst here. You know, at halftime, we saw a great performance by the Stockdale band. But I think, as far as the football game is concerned, I don't think it matters whether it's raining or sunshine for Stockdale. I mean, they're going to have to find some way to move the football. And how they're going to have to move the football is that they're going to have to get some good blocking in the interior line. They're going to have to throw the football more effectively and get a running game going. For Foothill, I just do what I've been doing in the first half. Give the ball to Hurd, give the ball to Higgins, and give the ball to Gerald Irvin, and then the quarterback, Marco Diaz. The way he runs the offense, they've been very effective. This has been a very impressive first half for Stockdale, for Foothill, and they ought to be very, very happy with the way they played. So,
H-A-I-L, hail is actually coming down right now. You know, in the first half, Dennis, Marco Diaz had a 20-yard run, and then Higgins had a 20-yard run. It's really beginning to come down. That set up a 32-yard field goal by Baker. Wow, look at it come down. And then after a short punt, Irvin's had a 10-yard run followed by a penalty, and Irvin scored on a 1-yard touchdown and then the PAT. So 10-0 in favor of Foothill as they basically dominated the first half with their ball control and their big offensive line. Stockdale, as you mentioned, has had a lot of difficulty moving the ball, but in the second quarter, Stockdale did not have good field position.
No, it won't. And of course, this is a short cloudburst here, and I don't think it's going to affect the football field. We haven't really had any rain this year, so there should be some pretty good footing here. And of course, Footill's going to keep the ball in between the tackles anyway and try to run the football and use some of the clock. Stockdale, on the other hand, Mark, is going to have to throw the football a little bit, so it's going to be a little more difficult for them with a wet football to try to throw it. But you know, a lot of teams throw the football a lot in the rainy weather, so you never really know.
Of course, they don't see that much of this here in Bakersfield as Baker kicks off for Foothill to begin the third quarter. Ashby across the 20, breaks to the outside, good speed, and thrown down to 25. And in a wet field like this, you wonder how much turnovers will play a part.
Well, of course, in the first half, it wasn't so much the turnovers, but both teams were a little sloppy on the penalties. But I thought in the second quarter, both teams handled the ball a little bit better. We didn't see as many penalties, and Foothill was able to get some successful drives going, especially 2 drives that you know, they put together 10 points on those two drives.
Talk about that 20-yard run by Diaz. He also had a fine run where he pitched the ball out to LaTroy Higgins, and he took it another 20 yards. So they're able to open it up just a little bit on the ground, Foothill. Sean Barker, the ball carrier, cuts back. Nice run to about the 29-yard line. It'll be second and short for Stockdale. They didn't really do anything effectively in the first half, running or passing. They've been primarily a pass-oriented team this year, as Anderson had thrown for over 600 yards coming in, but they had struggled on the ground. Foothill, as you look at them, primarily a ground-oriented team. They have stuck to that basic offense in the first half of Delaware wing team. 11:20 to play in the third quarter. Anderson with the ball as he gives it out. So running back across the 30 to about the 33.
Well, Mark, here in the first series for Stockdale here in the third quarter, they came out with two off-tackle running plays, and I think they want to get some kind of running game here established, especially with the field being a little bit wet. But I think you're going to see Stockdale put the ball in the air here in the second half. So they've got to get some points on the board. They've got to try to get some offense going for this year.
O'Confer ran a ball the last time, Dennis, and it's third and short for Stockdale. Anderson calling signals. They have the first down across the 35 to about the 36. Ocampo is small, but has a very quick start. Anthony Phillips making a tackle for Foothill. First and 10 for Stockdale. We'll call it first and 10 for the Mustangs.
Well, Mark, it's only Stockdale's third first down of the football game here, and we're, in the third quarter. So, we want to be optimistic. They got a first down, first and 10, so we'll see what they can do with the football in their own territory.
We'll give credit to Matt Martin, number 20, for running that ball. He leads the game momentarily. Sean Barker, sweep left. 5, a flag is down. Dives forward for a gain of about 9 yards, but most likely it's against the Mustangs, judging by where the referee threw the flag.
Well, Mark, there on Sean Barker's part was a little bit of inexperience. On that pitch out to left, he ran past his lineman. You've got to be patient, let your lineman make the blocks. But he outran him, ran right around him, and then, of course, they had a penalty on the play. But when you're a running back, it's very important to follow your blockers and wait until they make their block and then cut upfield. And in that situation, he was a little bit panicking, a little bit in a hurry to make something happen. Of course, the penalty came about, and they didn't really get anything going on that situation, that play.
We'll call it first and long for Stockdale, about first and 20. 10 minutes to play in the third quarter. We definitely had some heavy rain during halftime and hail just as we began the second half here from West High School. Anderson on the keeper looks pretty good. Tries to cut and slips just a little bit as he gets across the 30 to about the 33. It'll be second down and a lot for Stockdale.
Pickup of about 7 yards on the play.
7-yard pickup for the Mustang quarterback. They're calling it second and 14 for the Mustangs, so they move right to left across your TV dial in silver and black, and Foothill in black, white, and gold in their road uniforms, the Trojans. West, number 1 in there for Foothill, a free safety. Parker dropped the ball, picks it up once again as he falls down for a big loss back at his 24, 25-yard line.
Again, Mark, that was a difficult pitch to Barker, and of course, the ball being a little bit wet, he did fumble up, but did recover his fumble. Again, Stockdale in difficult shape here, Mark. 3rd and 14. It really is a passing down for them, and so we'll see if they get the time to throw, because I'm sure Anderson's going to be looking downfield.
Ramon Martinez, the right corner for Foothill, in hot pursuit of the last play. No, not the guy who plays for the Dodgers. 8:43 to play. Stockdale from the left hash mark as the rain has subsided. Pass wobbled out there, incomplete. Trying to hit Derek Jeffrey, and Anderson had to throw it a little bit too quick, which has been the case for most of the game for him, as Foothill has been putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback for Stockdale. And it's punting time for the Mustangs. 8:34 to play in the third. West deep for Foothill at his own 40-yard line.
From number 8, Sean Barker.
Barker, number 8, will be punting for Stockdale.
Well, Mark, again, the defensive pressure of the Foothill front 7 or 8 players in that play really forced Anderson to throw the ball before he wanted to, and the play just didn't develop properly.
Barker from zone 10. High snap, takes his time. Beautiful punt. West takes it on the run. Scoots by some people across the 50, 45 to about the 42-yard line. First and 10 for the Trojans in Stockdale territory at the 42-yard line.
Foothill will start this drive on.
Well, Mark, Jason West there made a nice punt return there for about 9 yards. Jason West, a fine reserve quarterback.
A very aggressive player.
Very good player for a sophomore, one of the very few sophomores on the Foothill team. And he's really the quarterback for the next 2 years. And we might even get to see him tonight. He's not very big, but he's very quick and very explosive with the ball.
Irvin's in the backfield, close forward, get him about a half yard. Andrew Ferguson wearing that great number 32, making the tackle one-on-one on Irvins. Gain of about a half yard, 2nd and 9 for Foothill. You talk about West twice. He has taken the punts on the run tonight. One time he was really stuck, but you need that kind of aggressiveness when you're a punt returner. And he's not afraid to take the ball into a crowd. He has very good ability. I think he'd be more of a wide receiver than a quarterback. Diaz play action, rolling to his right. There's a rush. Simply throws it out of bounds. Hurd, number 32, is in the vicinity, but he had to unload it.
Ball falls incomplete.
Number 6, Christopher Ashby, the closest player to the ball from Stockdale. 7:44 left in the third, 10-0 Foothill.
Well, Mark, Patrick Beagle, number 73, the right defensive tackle, 6'3", 230, was the one putting pressure on Diaz that time, made him throw that ball really away. So good pressure that time by Stockdale.
Patrick Beagle, who plays center for the Mustangs, he turns around for offense. 3rd and 9 for Foothill. Diaz to throw, setting up a screen left. Pass is hit in the air. Is it intercepted? Knocked up in the air by a Stockdale defensive lineman. The refs say incomplete.
Mark, again, it was Patrick Beagle again, the right defensive tackle, getting in there on that play. It looked like a screen play was trying to develop there. They let him in. He blocked the pass, and it was incomplete.
Looked like he almost intercepted a Beagle, number 73 for Stockdale, making 2 outstanding back-to-back plays defensively for the Mustangs.
He's making his presence felt here in the second half, isn't he?
Well, you got to do your job as a player. Standing back deep, Christopher Ashby for Stockdale. One of the 2 deep men for the Mustangs. Baker punts it away. It drops very quickly. Ashby takes it, running sideways to the 5, and is down at about the 7-yard line. 7:25 to play in the third. 10-0 Foothill here at West High against Stockdale. The Trojans 3-1 this year, and Stockdale 0-4. The Mustangs have been close in all their games this year.
Well, Mark, again, we talk about this game, and it seems like it's a big lead, but it's only 10-0. A break here, and Stockdale's right back in it. This is only a 10-0 game. So with 7:25 left in the third period, Stockdale still is in this football game. So, for a minute there, I thought it was like 30-0 the way the crowd was acting, but this is a close game.
Especially with these conditions, anything can happen on a given play. Diaz on a keeper. He's turned into a runner tonight. Anderson, nice fake, goes to his right, gains about 3 or 4 yards.
Anderson brought down by number 21, Jason
Guevara making the tackle for Foothill, number 21.
6 yards on the play.
Nice fake and run by Anderson. And we'll have a 2nd and 4 situation for Stockdale.
Well, Mark Anderson, 5'10", 160 junior, looks to be a pretty good runner, although he has developed as a passer. But I think as he gets more experience, you're going to see him throw the ball a little bit better. But he can run the football, so he's kind of as a double threat there.
Stockdale back deep in their own territory at the 12-yard line. Anderson calling signal.
Ocampo, the ball carrier.
Ocampo, the ball carrier, is across the 15 to about the 18-yard line. Short gain, shy of the first down. Third down for Stockdale. Anthony Phillips making a tackle for Foothill, number 79, at 6:40 to play in the third.
But not before picking
West
up
High
the first
School.
down.
Rain has kind of been coming and going here in the third quarter. Just a drizzle now.
Well,
we had a pretty good soaking for a couple of minutes.
This is definitely football weather, and this is what I like. I like it a little bit cooler. And the Trojans
but of course,
and the
we
Mustangs.
have a cover over our heads. Matt Martin has entered the game for Stockdale. Running back behind Anderson. A double slot for Stockdale. Ball on the right hash mark. Matt Martin, the ball carrier. Touchback, puts his head down. Gains about a 1 or 2 to the 20-yard line.
Matt Martin picks up
Stockdale keeping the ball on the ground primarily. course, these conditions, it's very difficult to throw the football. Entering the game now for Stockdale, 22, Isaac Ocampo. So Ocampo and Martin kind of sharing duties at halfback. Ferguson was hurt in the first half. Dion Ferguson, that's why you're not seeing him here in the second half. I saw him come off the field limping. There's the keeper by Anderson. Nice play that worked effectively earlier in this drive. And they gained some nice yardage here. And it looks like a first down for Stockdale. So Anderson, number 3, is showing some running ability.
Mark, I think he's going to have to take the load a little bit here in the second half. Like you say, with Ferguson, their top running back, not playing right now. More of the offensive load will fall on the quarterback. So he's going to look to pass and run the ball a little bit more effectively, especially when he sees an opening.
5:24 to play in the third, 10-0 in favor of Foothill. Stockdale with the first and 10 at their own 39-yard line. And they are not taking a TV timeout, I don't believe. Stockdale Mustangs, coached by Mark Hant, and the Foothill Trojans, coached by Ned Fermenter. Stockdale with the ball. Anderson looking to his right, heavy rush, gets away momentarily. He has a first down. What a good run. It goes out of bounds. Anderson with a pickup of about 15 yards. He looks really good running the football here in the third quarter. Felt the pressure around him, decided to take it upfield. Shows some excellent quickness.
Again, Mark Anderson taking the ball bootleg around the left side of the field, around the left end, and picked up a fine first down, a fine gain. He's showing some nifty moves there, some speed and some nifty moves.
Mike Anderson. Pass over the middle, incomplete. That's a tough one in this kind of this types of conditions. Threw the ball slightly behind Lewis. The ball goes up in the air like that, and it's easy pickings for the defensive backs.
Well, Mark, receivers do not like that kind of play when they do a play right over the middle. That was a 10-yard over the middle, and of course, you throw that ball high, they're outstretched arms, and they're really in a position to really get hit. And so, in that situation, the ball was just overthrown, so the receiver got a break there and didn't get hit on that play.
Second down for the Mustangs. Good Foothill jump, or were they influenced to be offside? 5:05 to play in the third. Trojans trying to get in quickly on Anderson. But it's offsides against the Trojans. A 5-yard penalty. That Stockdale picks up 5. Nice situation to be in.
Well, Mark, in this drive here, it's been Anderson, the quarterback, doing the job. I think he's made a couple really nice runs to pick up some first downs, and he's been the key here on the drive for Stockdale here in the second half.
We are here at Wild, Woolly, and Wet West High. Almost a mix-up. Inside half to Ocampo, I believe.
Ocampo, the ball carrier.
Probably picks up 1 or 2 yards on the play. They give him his forward progress. Anthony Phillips making a tackle, number 79 for the Trojans. We have called his name and his number quite a bit tonight.
Yes, I would say him, Anthony Phillips, and Myron Hurd probably are the 2 top defensive players so far tonight for Foothill. They have just done a great job. They refuse to be blocked tonight, Mark. They've been all over the field.
3rd and 3 for Stockdale. Inside the 50-yard line, the 49 in Foothill territory. Matt Martin stopped after a gain of about a yard. It'll be 4th down time for Stockdale. Will they be punting, or will they go for it? Kind of that in-between situation, down 10-0 at the Foothill 46-yard line. It's 4th and very short, but it looks like they're punting.
Kind of a surprise there, Mark. I thought they're in a field position here where you could really go for it. Even if they don't make it, Foothill's still on their side of the 50-yard line. They would be on about the, 44, 46-yard line of Foothill. So I am surprised they're punting here. I would go for it being behind 10-0.
Deshaun Barker standing back at his own 37-yard line. West, the deep man for Foothill. The flag is down. I don't know if they took too much time. I'm referring to the Stockdale Mustangs. Many times in a situation like that, the quarterback will come up there and try to pull the defense off sides, not intending to punt the ball at all. If he's successful at that, of course, they have the first down. If not, and they just take the penalty.
Well, Mark, it looked like they were planning on punting it, but it was a surprise move, really, to punt the ball in that situation. 4th and short, about a yard, I would have gone for it.
And it was a very short punt. The punt was from right to left, went out of bounds as the wind helped to take it.
Well, we know that the wind, he's kicking really against the wind there. There's kind of a crosswind, but really he has not punted effectively all night. He's only averaging around 18 yards a punt for about 5 punts tonight. So really, in that situation, they don't pick up that much. And he'd have been better off just to go for it, 4th and short there.
Foothill has the ball at their own 37-yard line.
They only picked up about 8 yards on the play by punting.
I think that was only about a 10-yard punt. Right. Remember, they lost the yardage. Myron Hurd, big yards, midfield 50, 40, down the sidelines to the 20, 10. It's a touchdown for Foothill. Number 32, Myron Hurd. The Thundering Hurd.
Mark, 63-yard run by Myron Hurd down the right sideline, and that pretty much seals the doom for Stockdale. It's 16-0 right now. I think Stockdale's pretty much out of it. You know, that was the play of the game, though. 4th and short, Stockdale did not go for it, punted, got about a 10-yard gain on the play after the poor punt. And on the first play from scrimmage, Myron Hurd goes 63 yards to turn this game around now. It's 16-0. So the decision by Mark Hans somewhat backfired on him. It didn't work, and Foothill capitalized.
Myron Hurd showing his power and speed as he broke past the front 7. Runs it left to right that time. Goes down the sideline. A very diversified player for Foothill as the PAT is good by Baker. But it's 17-0 in favor of Foothill. 3:04 left in the third quarter. So the Trojans showing the big playability there on the ground with Myron Hurd, who's had an exceptional year for Foothill, the senior.
Well, Mark, again, Anthony Phillips and Omar Menares of Foothill, the 2 linemen, sprung Hurd, just did a great job of blowing back the Stockdale defense. And, of course, he got in the open, and he just outran the secondary down the right sideline for a 63-yard TD scamper, as they say.
We talked about Menares and Anthony Phillips. They made a lot of tackles defensively, so they, like Hurd, are excellent two-way players for the Trojans.
Well, Mark, I think you'd agree that decision by Mark Hans not to go for it on 4th down kind of turned the tables in this game. I mean, you know, they had some momentum. They were moving the football. Anderson was running the ball well, and they punted, and look what happened.
Well, I think you're in a situation where you have to keep the ball away from Foothill. Because Foothill with their big linemen, they're destined to just run Stockland to the ground in the second half. Their job late in the third and the fourth quarters to wear the other team out, and I think in that situation, Stockdale had to keep the ball away from Foothill.
Also, too, Mark, when you don't go for it like that and you do punt, you don't get a very good punt. It tends to deflate your team, too.
It demoralizes the team somewhat.
And he hasn't been punting successfully all night, so that's why I was surprised he decided to punt the ball against the wind.
It's difficult to punt the ball against the wind, and also it's wet, too. So Stockton will have it 1st and 10 from their own 20. We'd like to thank our sponsors for tonight's game on Time Warner: Coca-Cola, Cinnamon Cyclone, AJ's Tuxedo Junction, and our new sponsor, Gottschalks. By the way, if you'd like a duplication of tonight's game, you can call Time Warner Productions at 322-1941, 322-1941. Anderson to throw it over the head of his intended receiver on the other side. With 3 minutes to play in the third. So Stockdale down 17-0 to the Foothill Trojans. Foothill getting set to compete in the Southeast Yosemite League, and Stockdale plays in the Southwest Yosemite League.
Mark, I think Foothill can be proud of their performance tonight so far here. With winding down the third quarter, they've played very well defensively, and offensively, I thought they've been very effective, don't you?
Their game has progressed very well as the game has gone on. Barker running left to right, tackled by number 44 for Foothill.
Number 68, Menares, and 44, Schenkel.
Schenkel always been on a lot of tackles for the Trojans. 3rd and 8 for Stockdale. The clock at 2:40 in the third.
One of the problems, though, Foothill could have down the stretch, Mark, is that a lot of their players are going both ways. And as you know, injury here and there can deflate a team. As long as Foothill stays healthy, there's not a lot of depth there. They can be very successful in the Southeast Yosemite League.
Anderson sprinting left, fires it downfield. It is almost intercepted by the Trojans. The wind had something to do with that. Martinez with a knockdown for the Trojans. That was a fine-looking pass, but the last third, it just seemed to catch the wind and swoop back left to right.
You know, if you ever want to play a defensive corner, that's the perfect way to play it. He was inside his man, the defensive man there, you know, on that situation, and played it perfectly. Had the inside position, and there was no way the offensive receiver could have made the catch there. So
he was going for the INT, the pick, but it's okay because it's fourth down for Stockdale. As Barker will punt it from his own 8-yard line. Foothill's coming, Herden company, as the ball catches the wind, goes off the side of the foot of Sean. Nice Stockdale roll, but Foothill will have it at their own 48-yard line. Now the Trojans have had very good field position tonight.
Right, and you know, one thing that I've been impressed with Foothill, Mark, they've had Jason West in there in the secondary. He's done a very fine job covering the Stockdale receivers deep, and also Martinez, number 23, the right corner's done a fine job too. So those two players from Foothill have done an excellent job in the secondary tonight.
They have the speed and the defense among the DBs. 2:08 to play in the third. Trojans with the ball, pitch back. Gerald Irvin has an opening, goes forward for about 4 or 5 yards. Almost ran into his own blocker, I believe.
Gerald Irvin picks up about
Mark, I think they're trying to get Irvin to a few more possessions, carrying the ball a little more in this game than the previous games. They want to get a little more confidence, and I think they feel he's improving a little bit, and they want to gradually work him into the rotation and maybe get 15 to 20 carries a game.
Well, he's looking better game by game. 1:35 to play in the third. The Trojans 2nd and 8. Inside handoff to Hurd. Hit and met by about 3 Stockdale Mustangs, but he still drives forward. Myron is low to bring down. Great individual effort by number 32. A 3rd and 6 for the Foothill Trojans.
Mark, one player who hasn't had too many carries tonight was Troy Higgins, number 4. He's been in there a lot, but of course he's played a lot of defense, and he might be a little bit tired, but they've gradually given Irvin and Hurd most of the ball carrying responsibilities, and Higgins is mostly playing more defense and not getting too many carries on offense right now.
He's doing a lot of blocking. Irvin's the ball carrier, has it open to the outside, 35-30, so they cut 25, stays on his feet, and down to 16.
Irvin brought down by Barker.
They're run by Irvin.
Before taking the ball down to the Stockdale 16.
Well, Mark, that was a fine run there by Gerald Irvin down the right sideline. Again, he got a great block by Phillips. It was like a trap block, and he just sprung it down the right sideline and again made a fine run and almost went all the way. But one of the Stockdale defensive players there really came back, and Michael Puskarich came in and made a nice play for Stockdale to keep Irvin from going all the way on that play.
A 30-yard run by Irvin.
Hurd the ball carrier.
Inside handout to Myron. Hurd close to the 10-yard line. A gain of about 5. 2nd and 5 for Foothill with 20 seconds to play in the third quarter. So the Trojans keeping it on the ground, using up the clock. They have a 7-0 lead, and they want more tonight.
Mark, so far here in the second half, Foothill's really concentrated and really has taken Eric Uberoth out of his game a little bit in the second half, 44. We haven't mentioned his name, but they've been doing a much better job blocking him in the second half. He's not being able to roam free like he did in the first half and make a lot of tackles. So they've been focusing and concentrating their offense on him.
He's a marked man. After 3, Foothill 17, Stockdale nothing from West High, and you're watching the Prep Football Game of the Week right here on Time Warner Cable, Channel 52.
It was a day like any other. Mom was baking her famous cinnamon rolls when suddenly the skies grew dark and the winds began to blow. There was no mistake, a cyclone was coming. We ran for cover just in time. And when we returned, the most incredible thing had happened.
Oh, my.
With a taste that'd make your taste buds spin, people came from miles around for just one bite. And you will, too, at Cinnamon Cyclone.
Cinnamon Cyclones is now open at 18th and Chester, so stop by. We'll make your taste buds spin. Excuse me, is that tuxedo from AJ's?
Let AJ's get you noticed. A Bakersfield tradition for over 25 years. Specializing in Pierre Cardin, Christian Dior, Oscar de la Renta, and Calvin Klein. AJ's Tuxedo Junction with 3 great locations to serve you.
Look fabulous in glamour rings and earrings from Gottschalk's, now 30% off.
Dress up your fall wardrobe with dazzling jewelry at an affordable price. Just $6.99 each piece.
Choose from sterling silver and costume jewelry, set with simulated gemstones and pearls.
But don't wait. At this great price, they'll be gone in a flash.
Glamour rings and earrings now 30% off. Only at Gottschalk's. We're your store.
Get in on all the football action with refreshing Coca-Cola Classic. This game is brought to you by your Coca-Cola bottler in Bakersfield. Always for the fans. Always Coca-Cola.
We begin the fourth quarter from West High School. It's Foothill 17, Stockdale nothing. As the Trojans try to improve to 4-1 in 1997. The Mustangs are 0-4, and they'd like to get a win under their belts, but it doesn't look too good right now. Foothill with the ball. Gerald Irvin with a cutback. Nice tackle as he gets inside the 10 to about the 8.
Mark, we know what's happening now. And of course, we mentioned earlier, Stockdale was very effective, especially in the first half defensively, but here in the second half, into the fourth quarter, starting to wear him down. The size of the Foothill offensive line and defensive line just dominating inside, and that's just, you know, using these big backs in Hurd and Irvin, and they're just pounding them right now, and they're using the clock.
Scott Reynolds made the tackle for Stockdale, number 5. 3rd and 2 for the Trojans. Side hand out to Hurd to the 5, touchdown, Foothill. Myron Hurd with another 6 for the Trojans as he just blasted his way straight up the middle. The Trojans moving the Mustangs back defensively as they have dominated them here in the second half. Myron Hurd with his second touchdown in the second half, the other one a 63-yard scamper. And Baker will be trying the PAT for Foothill. 23-0 Trojans.
Mark, on that last play, the center, Mark Rice, did a great job for Foothill. Kind of sprung Myron Hurd straight up the middle. The center for Foothill, Mark Rice.
And the kick is up and it's good. 24-0 Trojans over the Mustangs at Stockdale. With 11:22 to play in a ball game on a wet West High football field turf.
Yeah, it's become a Foothill show here in the second half. A Trojan affair, as they say, kind of like USC down there. But they haven't had too many games this year, USC, with that running game going. But this Foothill team, high school team, really has shown me a lot when it comes down to the running game. They have 3 backs that can really move the football. But tonight, really, it's been Hurd and Irvin, and they've been very successful. But I think really the key tonight really has to go to the offensive line, Mark, and also you know, the quarterback tonight. Marco Diaz has just been fine tonight. I mean, he's just been excellent handling the ball. You know, he's really improved his ball faking, you know, because a lot of those defensive backs for Stockdale just don't know where the ball is. You know, that dead over wing T, it's a quick hitting type offense. You get it to the line of scrimmage quickly, and you shoot the gaps, and a lot of them are straight up the middle dives. And he's really done a great job tonight handling the ball off and running that offense.
Well, you have to have a quarterback that's very adept at ball handling to run that type of offense effectively. You know, they do it so well at Clovis West. There's a lot of faking, a lot of misdirection. Of course, you have to have the talent, but a quarterback is the leader of that offense. Ball is kicked to the Mustangs. Jeffries, straight up the middle, stays on his feet across the 30 and close to the 40-yard line for Stockdale. And they start this drive in very good field position, down 24-0 with 11 minutes plus to play in a game.
Mark,
Mustangs is trying to get a drive going here.
Right. Mark, I really like Foothill's offense here. I think they, after the Clovis West loss, they came back last week, but still really were probably still a little bit down from the loss, 21-6 over South. But tonight, it looks like they're pretty much over it. And the offense is really starting to click again. Irvin's
the
getting more
wounds are beginning to heal.
Yeah, Irvin's starting to click a little bit more offensively.
Oh, yes. And so I hand off to Barker, and not much there. Didn't really have any holes. Foothill Trojans dominating the line of scrimmage as they have gained more and more confidence as this game has wore on. Now, I believe Foothill thinks they could contend with and defeat BHS. They always play them well every year.
Well, those will be the 2 teams, I think, vying for the SEYL championship.
Anderson rolling to his left. Protection breaks down. He decides to run it. Has a first down and more to the 40. Look at that speed. 30-yard line. Down the sidelines and thrown out of bounds at the 10. You know, he has very good speed. He's almost like a running back.
Mark, that was about a 58-yard run by the quarterback Anderson. I'll tell you, 52 yards, excuse me, and he's an excellent runner, and he really accelerates at 5'10", 160. I don't think that Foothill realized he can run as fast as he does, but he's got tremendous speed. Again, the best offense for Stockdale tonight has been when they go back to pass, nobody's open, and he takes off and runs the football. So you got to give Stockdale a lot of credit. They've got a quarterback who can run and throw. Very effective-looking quarterback for a junior.
Well, he really exploded to the open that time. Sean Barker to the 10-yard line and thrown down. LaTroy Higgins with the tack for Foothill. There's his name, number 4. Looked like he had a chance to go more, but LaTroy did a great job. I talked about LaTroy working with the weights during the summer. Gained about 10 pounds, picked up some strength and also some bulk.
Well, we know LaTroy is really coming to his own as an outside linebacker, but Mark, let's face it, next year he'll be the man for Foothill. Yeah, not only will he play defense, he'll be their top running back next year too, so next year will really be the year for LaTroy Higgins for the Foothill offense.
Have to wait your turn. 9:50 to play in a ball game. Anderson fumbles the snap. Now he rolls around, and he's thrown for a loss at the 11-yard line.
By number 44,
so right there, the wet ball plays a factor in that loss. And after that great run, this drive is somewhat stalling for Stockdale.
Mark, another good play by Brandon Schenkel, 6'1", 195-pound defensive lineman, linebacker. I'll tell you, he's another solid football player for Foothill. Brandon Schenkel had a fine game tonight, number 44 for the fans watching at home.
44, 3rd and 9 for Stockdale. Anderson calling signals. Now he's rolling to his left. Will he run it? Will he throw it? Throws into the end zone. Touchdown, Stockdale.
Mark, that was a beautiful play there. He rolled out to his left. Foothill came up. They thought he was going to run. Made a quick pivot and threw the ball into the end zone for a touchdown. A nice throw right over the middle. And the Stockdale receiver there was in the open. Derek Jeffries, nice play. That there was the best play of the game so far for Stockdale tonight offensively. I really like the way Anderson handled himself in that play. He's a threat to run, and I think he'd be very effective rolling out, Mark. A lot of the defensive backs come up, and then he can take a quick step and throw the football. He's got a good arm, too.
That 52-yard run was very impressive. The way he saw the rush coming at him, he broke to the open, then he exploded, accelerated. Now he's running to his right with a conversion to pass. Knocked down incomplete. 24-6 in favor of Foothill with 9:09 to play in a ball game from West High School. Well, Stockdale gained some confidence by scoring on this drive. Mark on to shut out.
Well, Mark, I am impressed with some of the individual athletes of Stockdale. They have some quickness, but I really am impressed with the Anderson tonight, Mark. He's shown some excellent speed, and he also has a fine arm. I think the key to them is, like we talked about earlier, they need some more linemen up front, Mark. They got to be a little bit more physical because he's just not getting the time against the good teams. When they get into conference play and they play teams like Centennial, it's going to be very, very difficult when you really don't have the size up front. And I think that's really one of the problems. But from an athletic point of view, an ability point of view, he really has been impressive.
I actually been impressed with the running abilities of both quarterbacks, Mark Diaz of Foothill and Mike Anderson of Stockdale.
Well, they were right in the game with Tehachapi. You know, they lost 8-7. And that game could have gone either way. And Tehachapi is a fine team this year, rated number 1 in the Sequoia Division. So that was no slouch there. And they played Palmdale Highland pretty tough last week, losing 21-14. So they have been, you know, in a lot of their games. And, of course, they played Arroyo Grande, Atascadero tight in that game earlier this year and just lost by a point or two. So they've been in almost every game, like you say.
I think in the situations in most of their games, they have lost them in the second half in the fourth quarter.
Well, again, we get into that size factor, Mark. You know, they just don't have the size of a Foothill or a BHS or a Centennial, and that's really their really bugaboo. They have some of the individual athletes, but when you're 5'10", 160-pound quarterback, you know, and you've got 195, 200-pound lineman blocking for you, it's just not big enough anymore in Curry County High School football. I mean, you're really going to take some shots. As you know, as I said, Kern County High School football.
Kern County High School football. Parker will be taken off for Stockdale at his own 35 after the 5-yard penalty against the Mustangs. Jason West, the deep man for Foothill. The deep man on the punch and also on the kickoff. 24-6 Trojans over the Mustangs. On Time Warner Cable Channel 52 with Mark and Dennis Heffernan. The onside kick does it go 10 yards. It goes out of bounds. Penalty against the Mustangs. Only win about 5.
I take it.
Ball's just not rolling effectively tonight on that wet field.
Well, it was a good play. Not necessarily a good play, but a good call on their part. I mean, you know, they want the ball. We know that. Trailing 24-6. So I think they'll try it again here. Actually, I don't know what the situation is there. You know, it's just Foothill's ball. When it doesn't go 10 yards, it's the offensive team's ball. So Foothill just takes over.
They basically just kick it sideways. So excellent field position for Foothill after Stockdale 40. Diaz and company. Inside handoff. And again, it's about a yard by Myron Hurd as he slips trying to make the cut. 2nd and 9 for Foothill. Clock under 9 minutes in the ball game.
Mark, this is a tough test for the Stockdale defense tonight. See if they can do a job on Foothill, 24-6. See if they can hold them on downs and get the ball back, and see if they can put another score on the scoreboard.
And Foothill trying to score more. At the Stockdale 39. Pitch back, Gerald Irvin. Nothing there. Stops to make his cut, goes down at about the line of scrimmage, maybe a loss of a yard or so.
Well, the field's a little bit wet right now, but again, there has been some improvement in Gerald Irvin's we've seen tonight, but again, still some of those lateral movements are a little bit hesitation there, Mark.
My question to you is, should they be playing him on a wet field like this tonight?
Well, I don't know. I think...
remember, he got hurt on a wet field last year.
Right.
And he's still not, as you know, I would say he's more than 75%. His cutting ability, I would say, is about 50% of what it used to be. And you could slip quite a bit on a field like this.
I think he wants to play, and I think Coach Permenter is going to let him play.
Diaz on the keeper. Will he pitch it? Stays with it. Gain of about 5 yards shy of the first down. Marco Diaz keeping the ball to the last minute. Wasn't sure if he's going to pitch it or keep it himself. Uberoff making an attack for Stockdale, number 44. I mean, that's really a good number. An easy number to see.
And he's quite a player, too, number 44. He's done a fine job for Stockdale now. One of their best players.
I just keep on thinking about the U.S. Olympic team. 1984, Los Angeles.
We were there, remember?
Yeah. Of course I remember. You never forget that. 7:20 to play in the game. Higgins in motion. Diaz on the keeper, puts his head down. I think he has the first down. Running right behind that big offensive line.
I don't think that in this situation, Foothill's trying to run up the score, but I think they're trying to run some wide plays to use some of the clock here. You know, with 7:12 left in the game. But you know, Diaz is really handling that ball well. I mean, on the options, he's really improved since the second game of the season when we saw him. The option play has really become a big play in the Foothill offense.
Well, you know, he keeps the defense guessing. He's been running effectively, cutting inside. I think he's pitched out twice in the game, but you don't know if he's going to pitch it or keep it himself. And being an effective runner, that puts extra pressure on the defense. He's a very key cog in that offense. Myron Hurd, the ball carrier, powers his way up the middle. Now it's thrown back. You have Hurd running inside effectively. Irvin's to the outside. Once in a while, Higgins lining up the wing back, but then you got the quarterback today. You really got 4 players that can run the football effectively for Foothill.
Well, I think at 24-6, I don't really think you need to bring the reserves in. It's only, you know, I think Foothill can still be allowed to score another touchdown if they can get the ball in the end zone. And I wouldn't consider that running up the score, not at 24-6. So, and I think they need some work. I mean, this offense, especially with Irvin playing a little bit more tonight, they need some work for their continuity.
Higgins in motion. And Hurd, a ball carrier, only gains about 2 yards. So Foothill chewing up that clock. The ball at the 26-yard line in Stockdale territory. 6 minutes plus to play in a ball game. And 3rd and 6 for the Trojans. The Trojans and the Mustangs.
For Mark, number 5, Scott Reynolds, 5'8", 165, a junior for Stockdale. He's done a fine job coming up and assisting on some of the tackles today for Stockdale. He's been a little bulldog out there.
5'8", 165.
Or should we say he's been a little Mustang out there.
He has a lot of character. Myron Hurd breaks a couple of tackles, has the first down. Great fake by Marco Diaz. I thought he had it. Reynolds with a tackle for Stockdale. Hurd powers his way to about the 15-yard line. He's almost scampered in for his 3rd touchdown.
again, Foothill running between the tackles, and on occasion, Mark, they'll run wide with Diaz to kind of spread the defense out, and then they like to come inside with Hurd for that power, and he's just running over defensive tackles.
Hurd off the left side, across the 15 to about the 13. And that power running to number 32, Myron, the thundering Hurd. Andrew Ferguson, number 32, making the tackle for Stockdale. 5 minutes plus to play in the game. Foothill inside the red zone.
Well, I'll tell you, they've been good inside the red zone tonight, I'll tell you, especially here in the second half. But, you know, Mark, offensively, I got to go with Marco Diaz and Myron Hurd as the offensive players today. And Phillips and Higgins, defensively, I thought were two stalwarts on defense.
You got to give credit to Hurd on defense, too.
Yeah.
Irvin's the ball carrier off the left side, gains about 2 yards.
Well, since I looked at him as one of the offensive players, I went with Higgins on defense because he was very solid. So, kind of spread it around a little bit. But I thought Higgins and Phillips.
And Phillips have done a great job blocking offensively and also defensively. Foothill had about 6 players that have played exceptional tonight. It's been a good team effort for the Trojans.
And I'd say for Stockdale, one player we want to mention is Uberoff, 44, the right outside linebacker, or rover back. He kind of switches from one side to another. He's a little bit of like a rover back, but he's been a fine defensive player for him tonight.
And definitely on offense, he'd be the quarterback, Mike Anderson.
Oh, definitely.
He really made it happen.
Myron
Hurd, straight up the middle, just outside the 5-yard line to about the 7, as Diaz, really ball handling very well here in the second half. Foothill tune up the clock in the final 2 periods. This is their type of game. Love to be in the situation. 24-6, keeping the ball on the ground, using up the clock, keeping the ball away from the defense, pounding the ball at them.
Of course, Mark, they did lose Deion Ferguson in the first half, but I don't think that was really much of a factor because Foothill's defensive front was really dominating the Stockdale offensive line, and I think it really wouldn't make any difference. But I think Anderson really was able to exploit some of his offensive ability tonight.
Yes, he is. Foothill's dominated this game on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And that's the main reason why they've won, because they have some talented players at the skill positions. They really began dominating this game early in the third quarter.
Well, Mark, my understanding, I think they've only attempted 3 passes, and so in the whole football game, and that's not very many. So that goes to show you that Coach Permenter is committed to running the football and running it well.
One time the pass was dropped, the other time the quarterback slipped and fell on his knee, and I'm not sure what happened to the other pass attempt. But you go with what works for you. And they've been able to run the ball against Stockton. Now, against some other teams, they would probably have to pass a little bit more.
Of course, I always feel like you should throw the ball a little bit more in that during the game, even though you're consistently dominating, on the ground, because you want to get that passing attack effective. And I think even for a team like Foothill, I really believe 10 attempts a game is reasonable for any team. I don't care what the score is.
The thing is, Dennis, Foothill attempted more passes in the first half against Clovis West than they have tonight. Of course, they were down about 20-0 in the first quarter.
Of course, we'll never be able to sell that to Coach Permenter because tonight they're winning 24-6.
3:29 to play. Higgins in motion. Diaz has the ball. Cuts back. To about the 5. Fumbles the ball. Diaz fumbles. Who has it? The Mustangs want it, and so do the Trojans. It's Trojan football, so he fumbles forward for about 2 yards. Diaz, the quarterback. That's what you like to do, fumble forward about 2 yards or so.
Well, it's been a dominating fourth quarter by Foothill. They have had the ball almost the whole fourth quarter.
Dominating. This has been Trojan football in the fourth quarter. Inside handoff to about the 2-yard line. Myron Hurd, number 32. He's been had a lot of carries in the fourth quarter.
26, Highland 3.
2:46 to play, 24-6 Foothill. They are looking for more, and they will take as much time as they can.
Mark, I've got some good news to you tonight. In the fourth quarter, it's West 26, Highland 3.
West High breaking what has been an 18-game or 17-game losing streak?
I think it's been 18 games, 17 or 18 games.
Myron
Hurd for another touchdown for Foothill. And his third touchdown in the second half, number 32 for the Trojans.
He just walked in that
Bulls his way into the end zone.
Yeah.
Walks his way.
Stockdale's so tired right now. They just they weren't able to do anything on that drive. That was just a dominating drive.
How would you like to have a bunch of Trojans pounding on you all game long, especially in the fourth quarter? Big number 32, ripping right at you.
Ryan Baker to attempt the extra point.
How about
to attempt the PAT.
How about a couple of Vikings after you in the fourth quarter? West High, Mark, won.
They have improved this year. The kick is up, and it is good by Baker.
Baker's kick is good.
31-6 Foothill, and the flag is down.
I feel good right now for Stan Green. I know he's been through a lot, and that's nice to see West High get a victory for that program. And I know nobody feels better than him right now. Of course, next year pulling out of the Pigskin Classic was a good move, so now they can get into schedule some other teams. But I'm sure he feels real good right now after losing, I think, 18 straight games. We saw some improvement against DB last week. You know, they got beat. They did score 21 points. Tonight against Highland, they got 26. But think of that defense of theirs, only giving up 3 points to Highland in the fourth quarter.
Highland had a good offensive performance last week. I talked to Stan Green before we did their Foothill West game, and when we looked at the schedule, we thought that Highland would be a great opportunity to capture a win.
And it was. And he did.
They did the job.
Yeah.
Stan Green and company.
Might not be too many more times this year, but they did it tonight.
They might have a chance in 1 or 2 games in the Southwest Assembly League as they gain confidence.
That might be an interesting game when they play Stockdale.
I was just going to mention that. Both teams play on this field, West High Field.
That could be quite a battle, huh? A little rivalry there, Stockdale.
Well, it could be a rivalry, Stockdale and West. We know that Stockdale and Centennial is a big rivalry. They play that game, the final game of the season. North High is coming on very well, but I think West and Stockdale could be a very good matchup.
You know, that Southwest Assembly League, Mark, is definitely more
then
competitive.
Then you have South High, and I think West might be able to play with South.
Yeah, I think that Southwest Assembly League is more competitive than the Southeast Assembly League, other than Foothill and BHS in the Southeast. Southwest, you know, you've got Centennial. North looks to be pretty good. Stockdale.
Right.
And then you've got...
a lot more balance up and down the league.
And you got South.
Of course, Highland is really down this year. They had anywhere from 7 to 9 exceptional players that graduated last season, 2- and 3-year players. Arvin is somewhat struggling of late. Then you have BHS and Foothill. And as you're right, I think the Southwest Assembly from top to bottom is more of a league that has parity. 2:20 to play. 31-6 Trojans. Short kick. Derek Jeffrey. Look at him run up the middle. Across the 25-30. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Mustangs. They'll call it maybe the 25-yard line. Menendez making the tackle for Foothill.
Well, if you're
Stockdale, should we air it out?
Well, I would, but...
Eric Coriel.
I don't get paid to coach, so, you know, I get paid to announce. So, I would air it out.
2:13 to play in a ball game. Dominating performance by the Foothill Trojans. It was 10-0 at the half. We had a rainstorm and some hail. For some reason, it perked up the Trojans here at West High School.
Deion Ferguson, the ball carrier.
Deion Ferguson carrying the ball and probably loses about a yard.
Well, I guess they answered our question. They came out and ran the football.
Jake Mitchell is now the quarterback for Stockdale.
I think in this situation, Mark, with a little over a minute left in the football game, that Stockdale's just going to run out the clock now, trailing 31-6.
Jake Mitchell, number 9 at quarterback for the Mustangs.
I like that name.
Jake Mitchell, JM. Ferguson came back to the game and ran one time. Now he's out. He hadn't played since the first half. Pitch back. Ball is thrown by Ocampo. Pitch it back up. Runs it up to about the 25.
Well, right now, Mark, Foothill bringing in a bunch of reserves right now to finish the game out with 1:20 left in the football game.
Hey, they're looking for a fumble recovery. Some of those guys are jerseys for Foothill are too white. They need to slide in some mud and some dirt.
Well, with the bigger picture, Foothill was looking for a victory, and they got it tonight.
4-1 overall this year for a lone loss to Clovis West. And Stockdale falls to 0-5. 1 minute to play in the ball game. Mitchell with a draw. An attempted draw, and he fumbles it. And the Trojans say they have it, but what the officials say?
34, Ryan Beloach with the recovery.
Beloach with the recovery. It is the Trojans' ball. As the attempted draw went haywire for Stockdale. 52 seconds left to play in a ball game.
And that's pretty much it, Mark. I thought Stockdale, played very effectively the first half, but in the second half, the size of Foothill tended to wear him down a little bit, and they just weren't able to match up physically on the line And other than nice play by Anderson to set up the touchdown with a nice run, 53-yard run, it was really all Foothill tonight.
And of course, he threw that touchdown pass. 50 seconds plus to play in a ball game. Foothill with the ball in Stockdale territory. Quarterback just takes a knee down. Jason West, of course, the backup quarterback, and there for Foothill. I'd like to thank our sponsors for tonight's game. Coca-Cola, Cinnamon Cyclone, AJ's Tuxedo Junction, and our newest sponsor, Gotcha.
Mark, I shop there as much as I can.
I've been going there recently. My anniversary is coming up next week.
Why are you telling me for?
I don't know. And West takes a knee down again. That will be it. As the clock winding down, 15-14. The final score from West High School, Foothill 31 and Stockdale 6. Foothill is now 4-1 and Stockdale 0-5 as Foothill prepares for the Southeast Yosemite League and Stockdale for the Southwest Yosemite League. Dennis, it has been a lot of fun tonight once again.
Well, Mark, it was really a fine game, I think, especially for Foothill. They're starting to improve a little bit after the Clovis West game. 2 weeks since that game, the offense really worked much more effectively tonight. For Stockdale, I think Anderson looked pretty good tonight. Maybe they can grow on that and build on that, but they got some work to do, believe me, Stockdale.
Myron Hurd had 3 touchdowns in the second half for Foothill, including a 63-yard scamper. A great two-way player. Of course, we have mentioned the names of the players that starred for both teams. Anderson looking impressive at quarterback for Stockdale. Marco Diaz at QB for Foothill. Ned Fermenter, winner, and Mark Hant has to take the loser's nod again tonight for Stockdale.
Well, I think one last thing I would say about Foothill tonight, Mark, is that Gerald Irvin got some more carries tonight, and I think as he continues to improve and get more confidence, that's really going to bode well for Foothill as they get into league play next week.
Next week we have Ridgeview and Garces or Centennial at North. I'm Mark Heffernan, and you've been watching Prep Football exclusively on Time Warner Cable, Channel 52. Good night. Plays have been solid up the middle. They've done a great job. 4th and 4 for the Drillers at their own 30. Osborne to McCoy. Has a first down and more. Tripped up first down for BHS. They keep it alive.
That was a fine play, Mark, and we talked earlier about the run between the tackles. Vegas has been more effective, just like Centennial, like north and south. And that's what they did that time. That's what picked up the first down.
First down for BHS inside Centennial territory to 49. 1 minute to play in the ball game. Osborne throws it out of bounds, looking to stop the clock. Now, they don't call intentional grounding. The closest player to it was Shannon Ezel. So once again, BHS comes up with a big play, and this time by Darryl McCoy. Maybe his best run of the night. Runs up the middle, breaks a couple of tackles. On 4th and 4, they run it. And they pick up about 15 yards plus, so BHS still alive. 54 seconds to play, down 14-10.
Well, I think you're going to look at something deep towards the sidelines to try to get out of bounds if it's possible.
Osborne and Austin wide to left for BHS. Long count. Tim Osborne looking to throw. He's under pressure, gets away momentarily. Now rolling to his left. Wobbles it. It is complete to Pat Osborne. He has to run it to the far side. 30, 25, 20. Gets the block. Down the sidelines. Tackle. I can't believe it. Out of bounds. First down for BHS at the 12-yard line. The Osbornes connect on a big play. Pat picked up some blocks. Went across the field. 37 seconds to play. BHS is in business.
Well, Mark, that was a nice scramble by Tim Osborne. His brother got open in the left flat. He tossed the ball to him, made a nice catch, got some good blocks, ran down the right sideline, cut across the field, got down to the 12-yard line. Great play by
Pass is
Bakersfield.
thrown out of bounds by Timothy Osborne. 30 seconds to play. You know, he showed the ability tonight a couple of times. Tim Osborne, you know, he's big 6'3", about 200, to break a couple of arm tackles, and did that time, made a play on his own. As the rolled to his right, came back the other way, just kind of lost it out to his brother. You know, most of the passes are that way. He doesn't fire the ball. But when you have a brother 6'4", you can throw it that way. Pat was in perfect position, caught the ball, but then a great blocking downfield as he cut back against the grain, broke the tackle on the far side, goes out of bounds.
Well, you know what we talked about here. Bakersfield's problems in the red zone. They're in the red zone again. We'll see what they do this time.
30 seconds to play. Kitching is out for Centennial. BHS with the ball, 2nd down and 10. Osborne has thrown it to his brother. It's up in the air. The pass. Incomplete. Pat Osborne had his hands on it. Paddling in for the ball, Shannon Ezel. As they throw that lost pass, Osborne to Osborne once again. Pat Sloan getting up. 24 seconds to play. 3rd and 10 for BHS. You talk about a wire-to-wire finish. That's why I stayed up here in the press box. I haven't gone down to the field. New sponsors for our game tonight, this week. Coke, Cinnamon Cyclone, AJ's Tuxedo Junction. Timeout on the field. 3rd and 10 for BHS. Who will win the game tonight? Will it be the guts of Centennial or the big playability of BHS as this game is going down to the wire? I don't know if my voice can take it anymore.
Well, you know, they run that same fade pattern a lot tonight, and Osborne does go up and get that ball, but he's done a great job, Mark. Ezel for Centennial.
That ball is basically up in the air for grabs.
But he's
done his ability to height to take it away.
And you know what's really amazing about Ezel is he hasn't had any double coverage on Osborne. He's a lot taller than him, but he's got great speed, and he's positioned himself well. But I'll tell you one thing, though. I don't know why at this point in time that they're not double covering Pat Osborne. Do you?
Well, I guess when you have Austin and Mackey and fleet-footed receivers, you can't afford to double cover him. That's the only thing I would think about. BHS with their other fleet-footed receivers, they haven't cut a lot of passes tonight, but it's very difficult to double cover everybody. You've got Mackey wide to the left, Austin wide right. Tim Osborne, 3rd and 10, 24 seconds to play. McCoy, Johnson in motion. Osborne to throw it. He's hit as he throws it. It is incomplete. Incomplete. Jason Stewart tried to act like a shortstop, but that ball hit the ground, number 89. And it's 4th and 10 for BHS. 18.3 seconds left. This will be for all the marbles right here. 4th and 10 for Centennial. Has come up big on 3 consecutive plays. They got to do it one more time. 4th and 10 from the 12. BHS can get a first down at the 2, I think. But not a lot of time left. Probably no time out.
Well, you know what?